Hello friends, how are you? I'm Anil once again from E.Academy. Welcome you all in my class. So let us start. Next chapter is sampling methods. So before that we have to know what is sampling. So basically it is a process used in statistical analysis in which predetermined number of observation will be taken from a larger population because it's not possible to draw result or analysis from a larger population. So what we do, we collect sample from the larger population, and the process of selecting this sample is called sampling. We can take one example here. For example, a lottery system could be used to determine the average age of student in an university by sampling 10% of the student body, taking an equal number of students from each faculty. So this is one of the method. That means we can take 10% of student from each class or from each faculty like this. So this becomes the sample because to determine any result from entire college will not be possible. You cannot interview each and student of the college. So what we have to do, we have to collect the sample from each class, and we can take the opinion of something like this. So sampling can be divided basically into two parts. That means there are two methods of sampling. Number one is non-random, that is also called as judgmental sampling. Means the personal, if you talk about the judgmental sampling, in the personal knowledge or opinion of the expert is used. That means the statistician use its own judgment to draw the conclusion, so that become the non-random sampling. And the second one is the probability sampling, where the all items have equal chance of being selected. Like if in a, I take example of a class having 40 students, and randomly you want to select one or two like this for some program, so all will have equal chance of being selected. This is called the probability sampling. Next is, what is probability sampling? So probability sampling is divided basically in four parts: simple random sampling, with or without replacement. That means simple, it's very simple, in which with or without replacement we select something and keep it back, again we select, we keep it back. And second is systematic sampling. We'll see the details in this later on. Stratified sampling and cluster sampling. So in systematic sampling, elements are selected from the population at uniform level. At uniform level, that is very important, and is measured in time order or in space. If we want, I just give one example here. If we want to interview every 20th student on a college campus, we could choose a random starting from a point in the first 20 names. First 20 names. Okay, that means how will every 20th we are going to select here? So that means we start from one, and then okay, after 20th means it will come 21st, then again 20th means it will come 41, so and again it become the 61. So in this way I started with the 1, you can start with the 10 also, then keep on adding. That depends on your system, how you want to follow the pattern. That become the systematic sampling. Now next is stratified sampling. So what is done in stratified sampling, we have to divide the population into relative homogeneous group. This point is very important. Relative homogeneous group called strata. That means each group is called strata. Then we can use one of the approach. Either we select the random from each stratum in a, then we can select whatever we want. That means we can use any technique. Okay, but before we do any sampling, we have to arrive at the we have to make a strata. Okay, I just draw here. I'll show you how strata can be designed. So now you can see I have designed the strata. Two strata I have designed out of the geometrical figure. That means I have taken triangle here, I have taken quadrilateral here. है ना? So one is the strata of a quadrilateral and second is the strata of triangle. So this become the strata. Now these are the relative homogeneous inside. You can see the inside they are homogeneous. All quadrilaterals are put together, all triangles are put together. The inside they are homogeneous, but if you look at the outside, that means they are heterogeneous. Means these are quadrilateral and these are triangle. So this is the quadrilateral. So I'll say quadrilateral. So quadrilateral means quadrilateral triangle. They become heterogeneous. But inside, if you go, all quadrilaterals are here, all triangles are here. That means inside they are homogeneous. Now coming next, what is cluster sampling? So in this sampling, we divide the population into groups or cluster, then select random sample of these clusters. So these clusters are homogeneous from outside, but inside they are heterogeneous. Opposite to our stratified sampling, just opposite to this. That means these clusters are homogeneous from outside, but inside they are heterogeneous. Okay, so what we have to do? That means we can assume here these individual clusters are representative of population as a whole. है ना? I'll just take one example here. If suppose you want to carry out the market research, है ना, by attempting to determine the number of TV in a large city. So how will you divide the clusters? You can divide as per the locality wise, है ना? You can take city map and divide the block wise, है ना, area wise, है ना? Then you can select out of these clusters, you can select one group and then you can interview. I just show you the how it is different from the stratified sampling. So you can see the figure. That means cluster may look like this. Means from outside they are okay. One cluster number one, cluster number two. But if you go inside, you will find the heterogeneity is there. Quadrilateral triangles are put together. And quadrilateral triangles are put together. But in stratified, all triangles were put together, all quadrilaterals were put together. So this is the basic difference between the this stratified sampling and cluster sampling. We have to understand. Now we have to see what is standard error. So a standard error is nothing but standard deviation of the distribution of sample means. You have to keep in mind. Okay, that means this is nothing but standard deviation of the distribution of sample means. Standard deviation of distribution of sample mean is called standard error of the mean. Similarly, standard error of the proportion is standard deviation of distribution of sample proportion. So that means whatever sample I have selected, okay, whatever sample I have selected, and if you take the mean and then calculate the what is the standard deviation from that, that is called standard error. So in short, I'll just say standard error is nothing but standard deviation only. Then what is the formula of standard deviation? So I'll just write here standard deviation. You can represent as a small s. So small s you can represent here, and I write here take square root, big square root, and sigma x minus x bar whole square divided by n. Okay, that means you have to divide the number of terms. I just explain here what is the terms are here. So x bar is nothing but mean of the value, whatever the value you have taken, sample value, and from each value you have to subtract, square this, then take the mean and take the square root. Okay, that becomes the standard deviation. If you don't take square root, that becomes variance. Okay, one more term is there. I write here variance here. So what is variance if I call you? So variance is nothing but That is in short, it's called VAR. So if you don't take a square root, that becomes the variance. X minus x bar whole square divided by n is called variance. So if you take a square root of variance, that becomes the standard deviation. Now next, what is sampling distribution? So sampling distribution is the distribution of all possible values of a statistics from all possible samples of a particular size drawn from the population. Statistics is the word where we find the values of various, है ना, like mean, mode, median of all samples. Okay, where the parameter word is only for the population. है ना? So I'll just differentiate here because word has come here. So population and statistics. है ना? Population and static. Population and sample. So from the population, whatever we calculate mean, mode, median, that becomes the parameter. Name is given the parameter. Where for sample, if you calculate, that is called statistic. Okay. So this is the population, is the full population, entire population, and sample out of sample, whatever you calculate, that becomes the statistic. Now next formula is coming here. How to calculate the standard error of the mean of the sample. So here the formula, you can write sigma x bar equal to sigma divided by n. Okay, but you must remember what is the meaning of this. Sigma x bar is related to standard error of the mean. Standard error, I just told you what is nothing but standard deviation only. So of the sample, sigma is the standard deviation of the population, big size. I repeat, sigma is nothing but standard deviation of the population, है ना? Standard deviation of population. And what is n here? N is sample size. N is sample size. It might have one finite value like 1, 2, 3. What was sample size you are taking? 10, 15. Okay. So if you want to find out the standard error of the mean, we have just used the formula sigma divided by square root n. But this formula is applicable only for the finite population with replacement. Okay, if population is finite, but we are drawing sample with replacement, means we are drawing and keeping inside, or when population is infinite. So this formula you must remember. If your population is infinite, or if your population is infinite, then replacement must be there. Okay, otherwise if your population is finite and replacement is not there, then your formula will change. Okay, then your formula, just I am going to write here, if population is finite, then your formula will change. I am going to just write here, you have to add only one small value, okay, for the finite population. So just add this value, n minus n divided by capital N minus 1. Okay, so if population is finite, use this formula. Otherwise, if population is infinite, use this formula. Infinite and finite, then replacement. Use this formula, otherwise use full formula to find out the standard error of the mean of the sample. So whatever just I have multiplied, this is also called finite population multiplier, because from the infinite I have derived the finite. No, so this is also called, sometimes you must remember this, n minus n divided by, means capital N minus small n divided by capital N minus 1. Then what is capital N? Size of the population, and small n is the size of the sample. Okay. Now we'll have quick glance as questions of probability. These questions are very easy. You must have solved in class 10th and class 11. So we just very easy, just have a glance, so that you can brush up your knowledge. A jar contains red marble and green marbles and white marbles. Okay, there are three categories of marbles are here. So no problem. See the quantity: 3 red, 7 green, 10 white. If marble is drawn at random, what is the probability that marble drawn is white? So just use the formula here P. What that means? Probability means total number of favorable ways divided by total number of outcomes. Means total number of favorable outcomes divided by total number of outcomes. So what is we are going to draw white. So that means white is favorable outcomes. So out of 10, if you are drawing one, that means it will give you 10 ways. And similarly, if you are out of this 3, 7, 10, 20. So total number of favorable ways, total number of ways means 20. Favorable total. So 10 by 20. So probability is 1 by 2. So this question is very easy. Now quick glance at next question. A sack contains 4 black balls and 5 red balls. What is the probability drawing 1 black ball and 2 red balls? So you have to draw what are the favorable ways of drawing 4 black balls. So out of 4 you are drawing one, that will be 4 ways. And what number of balls? 9. So 4 by 9. Okay, now 5, 2 balls, 2 red balls. Okay, 2 red balls in one draw. What is the probability to draw 1 black ball and 2 red ball in one? Now out of 5 you have to draw 2. That means you have to use, you can use 5C2. Okay, and divide by 9C2. And this combination formula I am using. So 5C2 divided by 9C2, because total number of balls are 9 here. So 9C2, and total number of balls are here 5. So 5C2. And when you are drawing one ball, this formula is not required, because directly you can take 4 by 9. Now you can multiply. Now put the value of 5C2. So 5C2 will be 5 factorial divided by 2 factorial and 5 minus 2, 3 factorial. You must be knowing this formula. 5C2 is nothing but 5 factorial divided by 2 factorial and same 5 minus 2, 3 factorial. Again 9C2, 9 factorial divided by 2 factorial and divide by 9 minus 2, 7 factorial. Now you can simplify. So it will come 4 by 9. I will write as it is. 5 you can break. 5 into 4 into 3 factorial. Okay. And 2 factorial into 3 factorial. As it is. Again you can break 9. Just I'll do the page up. Okay. Now 9 you can break up to 7. So 9 into 8 into 7 factorial, and here 2 factorial and into 7 factorial. Now you can cancel. Now what terms you can cancel here? You can cancel 3 factorial and 3 factorial. 3 factorial, 3 factorial. Here 7 factorial, 7 factorial. Okay. This factorial 2 you can cancel. Okay. Now see what was left. You'll get the answer. Now I wrote here what was left here: 4 by 9, 5 into 4 and 9 into 8. Now cancel again. You can cancel here 4 2s are 8 and again 2 2s are 8. Now left over, yeah. Now whatever just multiply is left, just multiply. So we can multiply 2 into 5 and 9 into 9. So our answer is 10 by 81. So this way you can calculate the probability. Okay, now moving ahead, we have arrived at the new chapter that's called correlation and regression. Basically, correlation is the linear relationship between two variables. Okay, that means values may be changing, and how much values are dependent on each other. And I can take example of like production of anything. You can take sugar cane. Sugar cane and the production of sugar out of that. So that means if quantity of sugar cane is increasing, how the quantity of production of sugar will be affected in our country. So how they are correlated means if production is decreasing, Means if cultivation is decreasing, how production is decreasing, how they are correlated. That is called only the correlation. Means it is the linear correlation, means they how they are related to each other. Okay. Now you can see here regression and correlation analyze show us how to determine both the nature and strength of relationship between two variables. Okay, so two variables has to be there. Through this method, we will learn to predict with some accuracy the value of the unknown variable based on the past observation. That means based on the past value of two variables, let's say x and y. Okay, we'll draw the graph, and out of the graph we'll estimate one line, and out of the line we'll find the equation of line. है ना? You must have done in the 10th class. है ना? Equation of line ax plus bx, ax plus by plus c equal to 0, or y equal to mx plus c, and we'll find out the line. Then we can predict, okay, if the value of x is that, then how the value of y will change accordingly. So correlation is the relationship of dependency that exists between two variables. Same I just told you. And if correlation exists, it is said that the variables are correlated or there's correlation between them. Okay. So for this purpose, we find out the linear correlation coefficient. Okay. And it is denoted by letter R. है ना? So linear correlation coefficient may have the value from -1 to 1, including 0. -1, it may have 0, it may have 1 also value. So if value is minus, that means they are inversely related. If value is -1, that means they are inversely. That means one is increasing, other is decreasing. And if you plot the graph out of minus correlation, that means graph will be downward sloping. Okay, so the graph will be something like this or like this, downward sloping. Okay, and if correlation value is 1, that means they are highly correlated, perfectly correlated. In that case, our graph will go upward direction. So this was the -1, this is the +1. That means they are highly correlated. Okay, if one is increasing, other values also increasing. One means I mean to say x and y, two variables. If y-axis is increasing, y is also increasing. This in case of +1 value. If one is +1 value, that means they are highly correlated, or you can say perfectly correlated. Okay, but if value is 0, that means they are not correlated. If they are not correlated, that means whatever graph we are going to get, that may be a circle. Okay, that means all the point will be scattered. We are not able to draw a linear correlation between them. That means they are not related by a line. Now, what is the formula of coefficient of correlation or linear correlation coefficient? Either way you can call it. Correlation coefficient is also called, and you can call it a coefficient of correlation. So formula is given like this. You can say R equal to, we can write R equal to covariance of xy divided by sigma x and sigma y. So this is the formula. It seems very difficult now to understand what is covariance. Then what is covariance? Okay, so I'll start here what is covariance here. Otherwise, you will not understand what is this. So covariance xy equal to, I write the formula here, sigma x minus x bar, y minus y bar, and divide by capital N, size of population. Okay, so this is the formula of covariance between x and y. Two variables are here. So sigma x minus x bar means x minus x bar. Bar is nothing but mean. Y minus y bar. So how you are going to find out? That means first you calculate the mean of x and then subtract from the corresponding value of x. Same thing for the y. You find out the mean of y, subtract from the corresponding value of, then you multiply. Then take the sum. Okay, sigma stand for the sum, है ना, summation. Then divide by the total number of terms. This becomes the covariance. Then what is sigma x? So sigma x is nothing but standard deviation. Okay, then what is the formula of standard deviation? We can write like this: sigma x minus x bar whole square divided by capital N. Now same thing, x minus x bar I told you in the previous also, and then sigma y also, just substitute the value of x here, means y minus y bar whole square and divide by n. So this become the formula of coefficient of correlation. Okay, but to remember this formula is very difficult, so I am going to shorten this formula. That means putting all this value, if you simplify, we'll get the short formula, but short formula is not also short. So just I'm going to write here. Now this is a short formula I'm going to write here, and n sigma x sigma y minus sigma x and sigma y. Okay, means n sigma, oh not here, sigma xy, and they are together. Sigma xy means you multiply then take sigma, to add, n sigma xy minus sigma x sigma y separately, sigma x sigma y divided by, put one square root here, one put one square root here. Okay, now right here, now replace, first you replace y with x. What you are going to get here? N sigma x square minus sigma x whole square. Okay, that means whatever I wrote in the numerator, n, I just repeat here terms, n sigma xy minus sigma x sigma y. Sigma means summation. Now while writing the denominator, I just put two square roots here, and first I replace y with x, means I am removing y and putting x. So what we are getting? N sigma x square minus sigma x whole square. Now second term, now you replace x with y, that means remove x. So I'll get n sigma x, not x, y, because I'm replacing this. So put y square minus sigma y whole square. So this is the formula of finding the correlation coefficient. In this term you can remember. Okay, I just told you the technique how to remember. Okay, now when two variables are related to each other, that means we can establish one relationship between two variables, that is called linear relationship, and we can plot a graph and we can draw a line, and that line can be converted into form of linear equation. Okay, you might have studied in your 10th class, that means y equal to mx plus, equation of line, or you might have studied ax plus by plus c equal to 0. These are all equations of line. Okay, so same thing, y equal to mx plus c, I am going to convert in the same form but different variables. So y equal to, just I just remove this m and c, and I just write here a plus bx. So here same, everything is same. That means in place of c I have put a, and in place of m I have put bx, and meaning is also same. That means what is the meaning of b here? Slope of the line. slope of the line is called b. And like m is also called slope of the line. And what is c? What is c is the intercept on the y-axis. I'll just draw a graph and I'll show you how they are related. So I'll just draw a graph and I'll show you how they are A and B. If I plot this graph and I'm getting this linear relationship like this, okay, so where the point will be scattered, no, like this, x and y, if you not exactly they're related. So if I put some point, then I got, okay, mean line is this, between, because so mean line is like this. So this is the slope. This is slope. How much slope is there? And a is nothing but intercept on the y-axis. So this is called value of a. I just mark here black color. Okay, this is a and this is called slope. Slope means theta, angle. So that be equal to tan theta. Don't worry about this. So you have to think about this, the slope of the line. So what is b is the nothing but the slope you can think of, and a is the intercept on the y-axis. Okay. Suppose your graph is somewhere at that something here. So I'll just show you. Graph may change. Okay. Let us show you graph is like this. Similarly, your point are lying here. Okay. In any regression relationship. So in that case, your slope will be here. And this will be your a. This is the value a. That means from here to here. I just mark here with the green ink. Okay. This will be a. Okay. This was the graphical representation. But how to find out the value of a and b? Here is the formula once again here. I'll just write down the formula and tell you. So b is nothing but covariance x and y, means covariance of x and y, and divide by sigma x square, means square of the standard deviation. Okay, and you know the formula of standard deviation, you know the formula of covariance. You can find out the value of b. Now I will repeat once again here. What is covariance x and y? So I'll write here covariance x and y. I just write for again revision sake. Covariance x and y is nothing but sigma x minus x bar y minus y bar and divided by capital N. Then what is sigma x? So sigma x is nothing but sigma x minus x bar whole square divided by n. Okay. So here keep in mind x minus x bar whole square, then take sigma, means summation. Okay, and divide by n. And but in this formula, while calculating b, we are using sigma x square. So you can square the whole entire value. This you can square this entire value while calculating the b. If you are able to find out the b, you can use the formula to calculate the value of a. Okay, that means y equal to a plus bx. So from the graph, you can estimate the value of x and y, and then if you put the value of x and y, you can estimate the value of a also. Okay, so the value of a will be given by y minus bx. Y minus bx. Okay, if you know the value of a and y, then a y bar minus bx bar. You can put the value. You can estimate the value of a also. Likewise. So here is one more formula. Then what is the standard error of estimation? That means whatever value we are predicting based on our linear equation, we are predicting the value of y, but it may have some error. That error is called standard error. And formula is given by, I'll just write the formula. So we can say SE. S equal to, we can write, take big square root because numbers are big, sigma y minus y bar whole square divided by n minus 2. Very easy. Even writing is just big, y minus y bar whole square. That means you already calculated this value and divide by n minus. So they become the standard error of estimation, because might be error also. And if this value, if SE is small, that means your estimate is fairly accurate. Means lower the value of SE, your estimation is correct, fairly accurate. And a bigger the value, that means you are having value not correct. So just we have arrived at the last point. What are the limitations? Limitations of coefficient of correlation. There is one limitation, that means in a graph, if we are not able to get a linear equation, then we cannot estimate. Okay, that means let's suppose that I'm able to draw the graph like this. Okay, that means if I plot x and y on the graph, so if I are able to get like this point, okay, like this, like this, like this, like this, like this. So now we cannot establish the linear relationship. You cannot draw a line. That means in that case, your R become equal to 0. This is the problem with that. Okay, that means in the graph, if variation is not in a linear, okay, then we are not able to draw a linear relationship. We cannot estimate because we cannot predict the change in future. Okay, or predict the change today based on the past data. So this is the limitation of the correlation coefficient. So with this, we'll finish our class. Enjoy the day and stay tuned with my next video. Thank you. Bye. Good day.